Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy here, Manny, once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineups for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. And before I proceed any further with the video, guys, like always, I appreciate a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on those notifications. This way, you do not miss any of my daily uploads. I daily upload a video every day, and now with MLB here as well. Today there will be also an MLB video coming out pretty soon. This is your NBA. Today I'm going to share with you, of course, like always, the stud 5. And before I go over my stud 5 for today, I want to go and recap yesterday's stud 5. Not bad. Another night, where not all 5 studs came through, but respectable night. DJ Augustin was my dud of the night. He did not come through yesterday at 6,300. I mean, he was projected to, at 6,300, my projections automatically is he's got to give me my value. He didn't give me value. He was supposed to be in the 32-33 range. He put up a 21.7. He had 4 field goals, 1 rebound, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 3 three-pointers. So definitely the dud of the night. He was definitely no stud. Then came Mr. D'Angelo Russell. Russell had a good game. Pretty much was, he definitely crushed value by about 6 or 7 fantasy points. He put up a 44. He had 5 field goals, 5 rebounds, 12 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, and he had 2 three-pointers. He pretty much, did a little bit of everything last night for Brooklyn. Great job by Mr. Russell. Josh Jackson was my third stud yesterday. He put up a 38.1, 8 field goals, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. He hit 1 three-pointer. He pretty much was at value. He was supposed to get about 37, 38. That's exactly what he got. So he came through. Tavares Harris, 32.9, 10 field goals. He had 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 three-pointers. Definitely disappointed with the rebounding. Only put up 2. The 32.9 is just a little bit below value. He was, he needed to come in at about 35. He came at 32.9, so he was about 2.5 off, or at least maybe 3 points off. Vukovic was the 5th stud. He had to be in the 46-47 range. He was exactly there, so he kind of met value. 46.5 fantasy points, 11 field goals, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and he hit 1 3. So all in all, I mean, the 4 out of the 5, came through, at least was close to value or met value. I could accept that. I'm obviously, every time I'm choosing these guys, I want them to crush value, and that's what I'm projecting and hoping that they would do. But it wasn't the case last night again. But again, 4 out of 5. If it's like that every single night and I can help somebody out, that's fantastic. And if I help my own self out, I obviously had these guys on a number of lineups last night. I did cash in a few lineups. Nothing really outstanding to actually show you. I mean, obviously, I would definitely show you. I mean, it's just to not make this videos extremely long. Unless I crushed the night, I made a few $1,000s or a few hundred, I would definitely share it with you. But if I'm only making 40, 50 bucks or 60 bucks, I'm not going to share all that with you unless there was just multiple 300 games. I definitely love to share the 300s, the real high 300s. But other than that, that's basically it. Stud 5 for today. All right, let's just dive right into that because I do have another video that I'm gonna, get out to you guys today for the Major League Baseball. Today is opening day, guys. I'm very excited. I'm a huge baseball fan. I love all the 3 major sports, but baseball is like been my passion since a little kid. I've always loved baseball. And then football and basketball, follow right behind those. So I'm very, very excited for the season. I'm actually am a New Yorker. Both New York teams look pretty exciting, but unfortunately, I am a New York Met fan since 6 years old. So I've been dealing with the Mets for a very long time. I still love my Mets, always will, bleed orange and blue. But I look forward to the season. Our pitchers look healthy, and we got a new manager. And we got a couple of new ball players, and we got some guys that are coming back, and they're healthy as well. So it's going to be pretty exciting because last year the Mets season wasn't good. Obviously, there was injury after injury after injury, and and then of course we needed a managerial change, and I think that was the right thing. So anyway, I could go at it forever with baseball. Let's move on. So stud 5 for today. Just going to jump on it really, really fast. My first stud is coming out of the point guard position. I went to him a couple of days ago. I'm going back to him again, and that's Goran Dragic. He is going up against the 27th ranked Chicago team, who was pretty pitiful in pretty much in every position. Dragic had a bad game the last game out, but I mean, he hasn't hit value in 3 straight games, but he has done well in his last 3 out of 4 versus Chicago. He had a 39-50, 36, and a 49-50 in 3 out of his last 4 meetings against Chicago. So I expect him to perform today. They need him. It's plain and simple. I'm not going to even go any further. I mean, Miami is in a, they're looking for positioning in the playoffs. All these games, and I'm going to touch up on that just to let you guys know those are key pointers to remember here. But let me go through the stuff 5, and then I'll discuss that real briefly as well. So we're going to jump right into shooting guard. At shooting guard, I like his buddy on the team. He's been playing really well lately. Mr. Dwayne Wade, if I can find him. Where's Wade at? Here he goes. 5,300 today. All right, Dwayne Wade has been playing really, really well lately. He's had 2 games in a row at 31 points plus, and he has had a 29, 34-10, a 25-60 in his last 3 games against Chicago, and actually the team that he last played with. So dating back his last 3 meetings against them, he has hit value and has hit value or better. So Wade is definitely in play today at 5,300 again. Miami needing to win these games. Wade is going to get a little bit of minutes there. It could, again, I'm taking a risk here. Nobody has to play these guys. Like I said before, I'm looking at these games as like Miami really needs to win these games. They should beat Chicago, but looking at the statistics, last night their last 3 games against Chicago, they have had battles with them. They only won by 8 in one, won by 10 in another, and only by 6 or 7 in the third. And every game went literally to the 4th quarter. So I mean, they can't sleep on these guys. Chicago obviously has nothing to play for but pride, and they have a lot of young kids that are willing to do that. So it should be interesting. But again, Miami is gonna, as long as this game is close, Dragic, Wade, these key components of the Chicago Bulls lineup is going to be out there to try to hold down against Miami. But I'm more so, what I meant to say is the Miami players are going to be out there more. James Johnson, Kelly Olynyk, these guys, Josh Richardson, the key core are going to be out there as much as possible, 30 to 35 minutes. So I don't see Wade doing that much, but it could be a possibility if the game is really close and they need to really, knuckle down and pull this one out. I expect him to be out there. He has the most experience. But anyway, that's just my opinion and my thought on that. Small forward, I like in the Washington game because Washington is in a battle as well. I like Kelly Oubre Jr. coming off the bench, relieving Mr. Porter. Oubre, let's see here real quickly. I didn't do too much on him other than I know for a fact he's done well his last couple games. Let's see here. Oubre, yeah, he put up a 31 spot in his previous game. He had a 22 prior to that, 29 hit value, 42 crush value. So 3 out of his last 4 games he has either hit value or crushed it. His last game against Detroit was actually a shootout. They won the game 122 to 112. This was back on January the 19th. He scored 32 fantasy points. He put up 26 points in that game. Pretty much that's mostly what he did. He had 5 rebounds. He really didn't pass the ball. He was basically just scoring. And when he gets hot, anything can happen. I mean, he can light it up. He has, a lot of upside. He's, 26 points in one game, or fantasy points 32 is nothing. He's capable of putting a 40, 45 spot. So I would say definitely pencil Kelly Oubre as your 3rd stud. 4th stud is going to come out of the same game. His teammate is going to be a value play, if you want to consider it. 5,600, Markieff Morris. Markieff Morris has totally owned Detroit. He is definitely in play with me for today. He's actually one of my favorite plays today. Markieff Morris. Detroit is actually 30th overall against defending the 4. So they definitely have their problems. Now, Markieff hasn't had, in his last 4 out of 5 games, he has not met value. He's actually shot poorly. Hasn't gotten the same amount. I mean, he has played the minutes. His minutes have been good. 29, 36, 34, 25, and then the last game he had 16. He's definitely struggled in the last few games. But against Detroit, I mean, he just steps up. I mean, he's got to step up. He's got to deal with Blake Griffin, Stanley Johnson, and all these other guys. But 31 in his last previous game in 31 minutes. He put up a 41 spot prior to that on December 1st. 27 minutes. He put up 23 total points. He had a 28 fantasy points in his 3 games back against them, and it's just literally 5. I have here 5 out of his last 6. He has crushed value. He's been in the green against his team, so he's kind of owned them. 20 points, 23 points, 13 points in one game, 19, 29 in another. I mean, I see, and this is a game. Again, this is what I'm going to touch up on that at the very end of this video. The importance of watching out these games, especially a 5-game slate like this. There's a lot of ugly games here. I mean, it's like, you're not even interested in watching any one of these. This is the one game for sure. Washington, Detroit could be the most intriguing, other than OKC and San Antonio, simply because those 2 teams are pretty much neck and neck in the playoffs. So they're going to try to battle for positioning about home field advantage and so on. Getting at least that home game. But that's, right now, Markieff Morris. I mean, I'm not going to even touch on anybody else. Markieff Morris, I definitely say lock him in. I think he is definitely a winner there as your 4th stud. 5th stud is coming out of the same game. It's going to be right there. It's the best center in the game today, in today's slate, is Andrew Drummond. He's the one Detroit guy out of all the guys in Detroit. Now, don't get me wrong, Bullock, Stanley Johnson, got to watch out for them. You got Reggie Jackson back. You never know. They haven't had great success against Washington, but they have had games where they've been very close. Andre Drummond is in the best. I would say here he is the best bet here, simply because they don't have someone who can actually handle him. He has actually put 58 and 56 his last 2 meetings against these guys, and he's played 36 minutes respectively in one and 42 in the other. And he has lit them up for rebounding like you wouldn't believe. He had 21 in his previous game, and he had 17 in the game prior to that. So he's owned these guys in the paint. I don't see it being any different. And I'm not going to even touch up on any other center that is playing today. The only other one that I like here would be Steven Adams, because, again, that playoff situation, the positioning there, if that game stays close, those guys are going to battle with their key guys on the court. So that's a game to target as far as finding some players, for your lineups. And look at this. I gave you 5 guys, and you got still 6,900 to play around with. You could definitely make a great lineup around these guys. So, guys, that's the stuff 5 for today. Dragic, Wade, Oubre Jr., Markieff Morris, and Andre Drummond. I know more or less who I like in other areas. I'm not going to touch up on those. What I really want to share with you guys is, guys, at this time of year, starting as of today and yesterday, I've been just been watching the playoff teams. You got to realize that some teams are playing for positioning right now. We have literally in today's slate, there is 5 teams that are in playoff, and the other 5 are not. You have Miami, you have Milwaukee, you have San Antonio and OKC, and they're playing each other, and you have Washington. All right, those teams are all right now in the playoffs, but they're all looking to position themselves better in the standings if they can in these last 8 or 9 games that are left in the season. And for instance, Miami and Washington and Milwaukee are literally only a 1 and a 1.5 games apart from each other. 2 games in the loss column between Milwaukee and Washington, and that's the difference of being the 8th seed or being the 6th seed. Okay. And then, Washington wants to win. They're only 3 games back from Indiana in the 5th spot. And then Indiana, Philadelphia, and Cleveland are all battling pretty much for 3rd, because they're all only one game or a half game away from one another. Then we go into the West. OKC and San Antonio are literally only 1 game apart from each other. So this is a big game tonight. These guys are going to play. It's going to be a playoff type of atmosphere. San Antonio, we know they always play everybody tough when they play these games like this that are meaningful. And out of all nights that San Antonio needs all their key guys to play well and for Coach Pop to leave them on the court, is tonight. So I am definitely targeting. So this is a game that is good to target. So what I'm trying to get at is that focus on these playoff teams and focus on some of these games and target some of these players, because the long as the games are close and they're still battling for positioning in the standings, you have an opportunity to probably nail down a couple of guys that are going to be on the court longer, going to get more usage time, more floor time, and they're going to get more shots. And if they're playing and they're playing very well, the coaches are not taking them out, especially if the game is close. So that's just a simple little tip there. these last few games of the year, every day when you look at the slate, look at all the key matchups. Look what teams are playing, which teams are playing each other that are positioned only one game apart. You know that's going to be a playoff game. That's like a semi-playoff game there, because these guys are going to want to beat one another, and they want to enhance and move up in the standings so that they could possibly get a home game in the playoffs. You know, they want to get at least a couple of games at home if they can. If they can get at least that first series in at home, they're going to want to do that. All right, guys. So that's the tip that I can give you. That's what I'm looking at as we get closer to the end of the season. Right now, I focus on some of those. So today, my games I'm targeting today automatically Washington, Detroit as a competitive game in Detroit. Washington, Detroit, they have played some pretty decent games this year, and then Washington wants to keep winning. So so as long as this game is close, you're gonna see some key guys from Detroit on the court longer. So you could definitely focus on some of those guys, and then you got to focus also on the Washington guys. The Chicago, Miami, totally different. Miami, one or two players. As long as the game is close, I gave you two studs from that game. You know what? I can be totally wrong. Chicago may not stay close, but I'm going with the factors that Chicago has played them close over the course of the year. Miami slows things down. Okay, this game is going to be pretty close. Chicago's going to have their key players still playing, and Miami, as long as the game is close, guys like Wade and Dragic, okay, and Johnson, who I like tonight as well, and Kelly Olynyk, and so on, they're going to be on the floor longer. You know, the OKC San Antonio is probably the best matchup of the night because both of these guys are only one game apart. So they're only one game back. San Antonio is only one game back from OKC, and OKC don't want to give up their position. So they're going to play hard. They're going to go out there to San Antonio and try to beat San Antonio, even if they don't have Aldridge on the court. Now, if you don't have Aldridge on the court, remember, you could target Bertans may be a good value tonight. So keep your eye on that injury report with Aldridge. I'm really surprised they don't use Rudy Gay. I like Rudy Gay for tonight, so keep an eye on him. I think he's one of those guys, sleeper guys that you can watch. If he can get some minutes, the only problem is he's not getting the minutes. If he gets the minutes, he can definitely help San Antonio. And at point guard, watching Mr. Murray. But I think that's what it comes down to. OKC, San Antonio, definitely look to find guys there to set up your lineups. Milwaukee is also a playoff team. They're playing at Golden State. Golden State is tough, as we all know, at home. They do have a lot of guys banged up, but if Durant comes back and plays today, then that's going to be a little competitive game with Durant at least on the floor. Giannis should have a good game there. You could target a couple Milwaukee guys like Bledsoe, obviously Middleton, and Giannis. And then with Golden State, I would say definitely if Durant is playing, you could target Durant. I think his price is only at about 10K if he plays today. Where is he, small forward? Yeah, Durant, ribs, game time decision. Now he's actually closer to 11K, 10.8. So, guys, that's basically it, man. Just a couple little tips there. So watch out for those playoff teams. Make sure that you look at these matchups. Look at the Vegas odds every day, and that's basically it, man. So I wish everybody luck tonight. I'm sorry I didn't elaborate more on some of the key plays. Is that I got to get this MLB out too as well today. A busy day for me, and man, I'm finding that, man, this is a lot of time. So I'm gonna try to do my best to get that MLB out before the main slate later on. Hopefully within the hour and a half it'll be up. It's about 11 o'clock New York time right now, 11 a.m. So we'll see what happens. But again, guys, good luck tonight. God bless, and your boy Manny is out.